platform.
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Mathews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
It's hump day, folks. It is Wednesday, and it's PodUp with Mathews in the morning, coming to you live from the International Diamond Center Studios. Fine jewelry, watches, and much more. Family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry. We'll have JC. We'll have Franz Beard. He'll talk Gators. JC and I will talk multiple things. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Speaking of our good friends at Comfort Temp, they're your number one local HVAC company. Professional experienced technicians keep you informed throughout the entire project. Visit them at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. JC, are you in comfort? Is your temperature comfort?
It is. I'm doing really well. Yeah. Hanging through July, getting ready for the oppressive month of August and September, and so far so good on the hurricane front. QB, I woke up this morning and I got a note from my brother-in-law who lives in Slidell, Louisiana, who is from Goshen, Mississippi. And the thing he sent me was, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a passage here from the Pascagoula Quarterback Club that has banners for the first class of the Pascagoula Football Ring of Honor. And here is the legends in the first class of the Ring of Honor. See if you recognize any of these players. Rooster Jones, Keelan Parnell, Tregnell Thomas, Houston Johnson, Matt Inlow, John Grant, Silas Corder, backup, Terrell Buckley, Shane Mathews, players in the Ring of Honor with the Pascagoula Panther Football Club. And the coaches include Lewis Sims, Jimmy Wyatt, Dobie Holden, and Bill Matthews. How about that? The Ring of Honor.
How about that, JC? Yeah, I'm going to miss the festivities, I should say, because
that's too bad.
It's on they're doing it on a Friday night. I'll be traveling. I forgot which weekend it is. So it is what it is. It's great. It's taken them. I mean, it's been a long time. Well, they never had a Ring of Honor, so I guess they're doing that now.
So here you are,
Pretty cool.
First class. Yeah, Rooster Jones. How good was Rooster Jones, by the way?
Rooster Jones, very good. I think he played for the Pitt Panthers, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go.
I don't know. People got to remember, I only lived there 2 years, so I don't have a whole lot of knowledge of the history. I do know this. Somebody sent me the other day. It had, because I don't know if it's still there, but in all my years when I was in the league, JC, per capita, the state of Mississippi put more players in the National Football League than any other state.
You did tell me that. Yeah.
And somebody the other day sent me all the schools that have produced the most NFL players.
Right.
Moss Point was at 17 players. I think Pascagoula had 16.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. They had it all the way down to like whoever had 8 players in the league. But anyway, there's your state of Mississippi update here on the program. Appreciate that, JC.
Okay. Well, I mean, thanks to Henry for sending it and Merchants and Marine Bank for sponsoring this first class.
That's right.
Hashtag Weegula. Weegula.
That's a new thing too. Leroy from Palm Coast had a question on the Titan MR text line for us. He says, "Go Gators."
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you or JC's golf groups have ever played at the Legends Resort in Myrtle Beach. I just got back from there and it was a good time. Just wondering what you guys thought if you've been there. Never been there.
Couldn't tell you either. I do have a friend, though, who's you and I both have a friend who's about to go to Ireland and play Royal Portrush here this week. How about that?
Yeah, he's going to shoot 100.
He's got to keep the ball. He's got to keep the ball lower, man. He hits it too high. All right, Tommy says, "Good morning, go Gators." Kevin Meadows, Gator Nation, baby. Wally Gator, good morning. Kevin Meadows, they don't have dudes called Rooster anymore. Barone 71.
That would probably be offensive. They'd have to change his name.
Yeah. Barone 71, Mississippi and the Polynesian Islands pump out so many players, baby. It's insane. look, I don't care where they're from. Just show me you can do it, and then you're on your way. So we've got some wearing that orange and blue this year. I saw something though that I wasn't wild about, QB. You have to tell me if this is good or a bad thing. But they're going to come out this year with a home and away version of some green swamp uniform, and I got to be honest. The Gators, I read somewhere. Maybe it's fake. Maybe it's fake news.
That's fake news.
Those
silly things. We're done with the silliness.
I hope so. My God, I thought it was fake news. I was waiting to hear your reaction on that, QB. All right.
No.
Can't believe anything
There's
on
no way in hell.
If it's on the internet, it can't be true, right? No, Jesus.
Right. Speaking of the internet and on Twitter, I did see this and I wanted to get your comments, and I'm sure a lot of people saw. ACC, is it ACC? Yeah, ACC and Big Ten Media Days were just over, but some of the comments from Rhett Lashley and your boy Kurt Signetti.
Oh, please.
Oh
my God. Yeah.
Did you see what they referred to about the SEC?
Rhett Lashley talking about the top-heavy SEC. I mean, when they add up the numbers between the ACC and the Southeastern Conference, just in head-to-head, it's an embarrassment. But just the idea that you would compare the ACC in football, where you have two schools from Florida that haven't even competed for the conference championship in the title game, other than that 1 year Florida State, I think, went undefeated, I suppose. But Miami's never even played for it. And so I don't know. Rhett's at SMU. What does he know working at SMU about the ACC or about the SEC for that matter? You tell me, QB.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on,
did
Rhett.
see, and Kurt Signetti was just blasting the SEC non-conference games, which if you actually looked at it and somebody posted it, most of the teams in the SEC's non-conference games are way harder than Indiana's.
Well,
actually they're conference games.
Well, he can blast them, but he's doing the same thing that he says the SEC's doing with all these FCS schools and all this Ball State stuff and things like that, QB.
Yeah. You know what I didn't realize until I saw it on Twitter, and of course you can't believe everything you read on Twitter, but this is a fact.
Uh-huh.
Casey, do you know how many SEC champs we've had, different schools, since 2000 for 24 years?
6.
Nope.
7?
Nope.
4.
Nope.
5. 3?
5.
5. Well,
We only had 5.
Between
the Gators, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, and Alabama.
That's it. That is it. So I guess that's why he said
in 24 years.
Well,
that's why he said that.
That's probably why he said that. Okay, here's the brilliant Ben Stevens from the grid, from the Sports Grid. Number of teams playing top 10 Power Four opponents in 2025. The Big Ten has 12. The SEC has 3. 2025 Big Ten non-conference opponents of 54 games. Let's see. FCS 14, Group of 5, 28, Power 4, only 12. And then 2025 SEC non-conference opponents of 64 games, Power 4, 18, Game of Thrones, Jesus. Group of 5, 31, FCS 15. And then here's Kurt Signetti on dropping Virginia home and home series. We figured we'd adopt an SEC scheduling philosophy. It mentions how many SEC teams play FCS teams and that the SEC only plays 8 league games. Now, I can't argue. He is true. They are only playing 8 league games. There is FCS teams on each team's schedule, it would so appear. On almost every team's schedule, including Florida's. The entire SEC is playing games versus teams like Ohio State, Clemson, and Miami, Kurt. And Indiana is canceling games against Virginia, you schmuck. So take that, Kurt Signetti. And next time, show up and represent your school and compete in a playoff game when you're on the big stage, okay? And quit running your mouth. So, I mean, the bottom line is we're playing Texas and Ohio State. We're playing Clemson. Well, hell, Clemson and South Carolina play every year, but Clemson's going to be playing LSU. Miami's going to be playing the Fighting Gators, the Florida Fighting Gators, who are also playing Florida
And
State.
Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame. And then the Indiana Hoosiers have just dumped the powerhouse in Charlottesville known as Virginia Cavaliers. Shut up, Kurt. Just shut your ass. Win some games
There you go.
against real teams. Against real teams. 6 of the top 7 toughest schedules, folks. Hey, Kurt, Joe Klatt, everybody. 6 of the 7 toughest schedules. 6 of the top 7. I can't speak this morning. 6 of the top 7 toughest schedules in the country, according to 24/7 Sports, are out of the Southeastern Conference. Shut your ass. Now, I do agree with them about the 8 games, dude. I'm not going to lie. I hate the fact that they play 8. I know why, but it's time to move on if you have 16 teams to a 9-game schedule. It's just time. I don't care about how hard it is. This is the Southeastern Conference. This is the gold standard for football. Everybody knows it. Now, yes, the Big Ten has won the last 2 national championships. Whoopee. Okay? We have 2 schools in the SEC that went back-to-back in the last 12 years. Alabama and Georgia went back-to-back. Okay? Michigan and Ohio State, wow. They actually won a national championship for the first time in 20 years. Great. Good for them. Okay, Ohio State won it in 2014. That's true. But we've got 2 schools in this conference that went back-to-back. So enough of this crap from the Big Ten. Look, it's true. They play 8 games. They're going to move to 9. I'm almost certain of it because the Big Ten is not going to agree with the SEC on a 4-4, 2-2, 1-1, whatever playoff scenario without the SEC going to 9 games. That is already been said by Tony Petitti. So that's what we've got.
Yeah. Tom says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, the SEC has had 9 teams win a national title since 1964. Yeah. But in the last 24 years, there's only been 5 teams. Andy's question on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Shane, where does winning your state championship game with your dad as your coach rank among your football highlights? It's right up there. It
has to be.
That's why I'm so against the IMG Academy. I'm so against these kids that aren't playing with their kids they grew up in the neighborhood in high school. You only get to do high school one time. If you're a good enough player, you're going to get a scholarship, right? Doesn't matter if you play at Newberry or IMG. If you're good enough, they will find you. So play with the damn people you grew up with and try to win and enjoy that experience.
Where the hell did Derrick Henry play?
Yulee, baby.
That's exactly right. He was the only kid that got, I think, recruited out of that school. Maybe there's another one, but it didn't hurt him playing at a school like that.
No, it does not hurt you. It's just these people are nuts.
They are nuts. They're caught up in the hype, in the media. Like you said, if they're good, people will see them play. Marcus Dupree, maybe the greatest running back ever to come out of high school, played in Philadelphia, Mississippi. All right? He didn't play in Jackson. He didn't play in the Gula. He didn't play in Biloxi. He didn't play in Columbus or, up there in the north at Tupelo. He played at Philadelphia. Greatest running back I've ever seen come out of high school. So I don't know. I think you're right about this on the high school. You know more about high school football than anybody I know. I mean, it's your business, basically. You talk to coaches. You see the facilities. People ought to pay you to be a consultant for high school football in their state, whatever state it is. They can use some of your knowledge. What do you think of that?
Appreciate that. Appreciate that plug there, JC.
Yeah. No, I mean,
hey, JC.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
What's the matter?
Let's talk about real quick Gallo Car Wash. There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo Car Wash. It's locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Southwest Williamson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville.
Let me ask you, QB.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. What the hell would Indiana be, and what would Kirk Cignetti's record be if they had to show up and play LSU and Miami on the road back-to-back, Texas and Texas A&M back-to-back weeks, and maybe say, I don't know, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, followed by Tennessee without an open date. How many of those games would Indiana win? Maybe 3, 2, 1, 0? I don't know. You think they'd get out of that alive? Probably not. So, these guys that they stir up the little Indians around the tribe here. That's what they do. They get everybody all foamed up and lathered up with their stupid little remarks. But the thing is that they don't look at the facts. They don't look at the data. They don't look at the results, for that matter. And it's like, what have you done for me lately? Since we've won a national championship this year, we're the best conference in the league. You're not. Okay, you have a team in Ohio State that was a professional football team. Great. They had a couple of those here in the SEC too, by the way. So I don't get offended by it, but I just react to it very poorly when I hear this stupidity coming out of the Midwest and Mideastern parts of this country representing the Big Ten football conference, okay, which, by the way, has 18 teams and 2 teams from California and 2 teams from the Northwest. Tell me how that makes sense. That'd be like the SEC having a team in I don't know, in South Dakota and New Mexico. Or worse, maybe worse. I don't know. But, they got 18 teams and 4 of them are so far away that they're three time zones away. 3 time zones away. All right.
All right. I just want to get to a couple of these comments on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Ryan says, Shane, I'm going to say something very unpopular, but I think we are overrated heading into this season. I pray I'm wrong.
Well,
we will see. We will see. Clint says he's probably going to the Tennessee-Georgia game this year at Tennessee, but he's going to wear his Gator shirt. Will he be okay? You'll be fine. You'll be fine. So
he says they're over. He thinks they're going to be overrated. Well, so what's that mean? Does that mean 6 wins, 7 wins?
Well, I don't know either. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, again, we talked with Graham Hall yesterday. The media predicts the Gators to be 6 in the SEC. So does that mean they're overrated, underrated? I don't really know. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Got to play the games, JDC. You got to play the games. All right. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit. You can put star prior to work in your financial life. Credit Campus. I can't talk today either. Campus USA Credit Union. 1995, JC.
Oh, yeah.
British Open.
Oh.
Who won it,
Probably a guy that hasn't played in it since then, but no, I don't.
He was an SEC golfer.
Well, there's a lot of those. I think
Blue Pig.
Oh, it's John Daly. That's right. He did win the British Open. He's got that championship. I do remember he had a green sweater on, and he had a great. It was at St. Andrews. I do remember that.
It was.
Yep, and he had a birdie or a par on 18 up the big false front of that 18th hole to save the tournament for himself. Or did he do it in extra holes? I can't remember, but I do know it was at
well, you have a great memory, JC. So 1995 British Open champ was John Daly, who won his second major, but won in a 4-hole playoff with Constantino Rocco of Italy.
Right, Constantino Rocca. And John Daly is your winner, which means he's allowed to play in that tournament at least till he's 60 years old, I believe, is the rule they have there. So I didn't see him in the field this year. It's funny. There are so many winners of that tournament. Now, we've had in the last 6 or 7 years of that tournament, we've had first-time winners in successive years. So this year we had a first-time winner of the British Open or the Open. And, of course, it's been that way for the last 6 years, which I find very interesting as well. It's quite a unique tournament, and it's the biggest thing in Europe. And some say the Claret Jug. I heard you and I think Buddy talking about, the most prestigious trophy. You are, by the way, correct in that the Stanley Cup carries as much weight as the Claret Jug. He will disagree with us on that, but it does. Because, remember, there is a large hockey contingent in in the other parts of the world, and the Stanley Cup visits Europe, that's a big damn deal. Probably a little bit bigger when the Stanley Cup visits a country like the Czech Republic or Finland than the Claret Jug. All right. So, in a way, you are correct, I believe, with the Stanley Cup being one of the at least two most prestigious trophies on earth. The Claret Jug's a big one for sure, but golf, as popular as it is not played in many countries in Europe. It is played in some, but not in many. Not in all of them. How many golf tournaments in Finland? Go ahead.
Yeah, not many. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Now it's time for the Peaceland Dental golf picks.
All right.
I get to pick first, JC.
You had a good week.
I had more top 10 finishers than you.
Okay.
All right, they're playing at the 3M Open, which is the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Good, pray for these people going there. And a lot of these guys, remember, they have to get into the Tour Championship and all that to keep their tour card. These are some important golf tournaments.
100%, absolutely.
So, having said that, I'm going to go with the dude who is very, very hot. I am taking Gator.
He is so hot. I just wonder how much he's got left in the tank after 2 big weeks in Europe, but you could be right.
He's young, JC.
Yeah, that's a fact. He is, and the guy is he's so explosive. He can ramble off 4 or 5 birdies just like that. You don't know what hit you. And I think he is one of the next really rising up-and-comers that we have on this tour, where there's so many of them. It's like it goes back to what you say about the talent spread on this tour. They're just so damn good. And I thought about it in the shower last night, believe it or not, what you said about the Tiger Woods, field of competition compared to what Scotty Scheffler plays against. And it is considerably more spread out now than it was back then. Back then, you may have had 3, 4, 5 guys that could even walk the same golf course with Tiger Woods. Phil Mickelson, maybe one of them, but he still never beat him. But these guys today, there's 20, 25, 30 guys that are just absolute, just killers on the golf course. And so I am starting to come around big time on your theory about that, and I think it's accurate for sure. So and there's just more talent out there running around week to week in the PGA Tour than there may have been during the days of Tiger. It doesn't diminish anything that Tiger does. It doesn't diminish any of that, but it is true, and I think you are correct about that. All right, I think I'm going to try. Boy, there are some names here. I don't really know what's going on with Max Homa, but this is one of those tournaments where maybe he gets it going. He's going to need to win some of these because he missed the British Open. He had to play at the Barracuda out in California in front of absolutely nobody. But I think he's the kind of guy that can probably really light this place up. I'll go with that.
All right, you got Max Homa. I'm going to take Maverick McNeely.
Yeah, he's playing great. He's really playing great. I'm going to go with Sahith Theegala, see if he can score on this course. I think he can.
All right, good putter.
Yeah.
Give me your guy who's playing really good golf, Wyndham Clark.
He really has turned things around here in the last month. I love his short game, dude. I love his short game. I'm going to take Tony Finau.
All right, Tony Finau for you.
Yep.
Give me Taylor Pendrith.
All right. I'm going to go with a guy that's won once on tour, but is really kind of an anonymous type of player. But he kind of shows up in these deals in top 10s quite often. Just look him up. Kurt Kitayama. Look him up.
Okay, yeah, that's one of J.C. Deacon's old boys.
Mm-hmm. He's won on tour.
All right, my 5th and final pick, I'm going to go with Akshay Bhatia.
Yeah, that's a really strong pick. I'm going to seriously look at him for top 10 this week on Hard Rock. I love his game in these tournaments. Give me Michael Thorbjornsen.
I love him.
He's playing well, man. He can line it up too.
He's an American too, with that crazy name.
Yeah, that's right.
Thorby Georgeson.
Well, you're a Cherokee
All right.
Indian with the name Mathews. All right, tell me about that.
Yeah, I don't know how that works either. What should my name be? Sitting Bull?
Hunting Wolf.
Hunting Wolf. All right, so to recap our Peachland Dental 3M picks. I have Chris Gotterup, Taylor Pendrith, Wyndham Clark, Maverick McNeely, Akshay Bhatia. I have All-American. No, I don't. I got a Canadian in there.
Yes, you do.
JC has Max Homa, Sahith Thagala, Tony Finau, Kurt Kitayama. Oh, you have All-Americans. Michael Thorbjornsson.
Damn right. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I'm absolutely going to watch it on the weekend. Probably won't watch it on Thursday or Friday, but I'll absolutely check in on the weekend. After the 3M Open, the tour gets ready for the Tour Championship wherever. I think. Well, let's see.
No, they got the Wyndham. They got the Wyndham Championship.
They got the
then
Wyndham.
They go to Memphis for the FedEx.
That's and I think that's the one Scotty said he's going to play in next is the FedEx. Then we go to the BMW Championships. Then the Tour Championship at East Lake in Georgia on August 21st through 24th. Following that, the really only big event that's left would be your Ryder Cup at the end of September, and that's the golf season. So, the Ryder Cup, like you said, is tough to really acknowledge during football season for guys like us. But in places like Long Island, where they don't play football, in spite of the fact that there's a team from Long Island showing up here in September or in August, but in Long Island, where they're playing the Ryder Cup, that's going to be a massive, massive event. Lots happening there. So golf is important again in September.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Tom is chiming in about Union County had 7 players go D1. Yeah, we're talking about go pro ball, Tom, pro ball.
Well, I mean, D1 is turning into pro football, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no doubt about
With
that.
All these paychecks, these kids are cleaning the house on. The Gators finished 10th in the SEC last year and still was 4-4. Think about that, 10th in the SEC, and you had a 500 record. You were 4-4, but yet you finished 10th. If that doesn't tell you about the overall up and down strength of the conference, you're an idiot. Okay, you're just flat stupid if you don't understand that. Kurt Signetti. So now I hate Indiana. I'm going to pull for Illinois. I'm going to pull for Iowa, and I'm not going to pull for Indiana anymore. How's that?
You're going to pull for Iowa, just if maybe they can score a couple touchdowns.
Well, I mean, anybody but Indiana and Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I'm going to go with some of these other schools. I like what Illinois is doing up there with Brett Bielema. I kind of like what I see up at Illinois.
A lot of it has to do with his quarterback, the kid that transferred from Ole Miss.
No question. Yeah.
All right, JC.
All right, man.
Have a good week. Have a good couple of days. We'll talk to you on Friday.
Yep. See you then. Bye-bye.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan Moore Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're going to take a quick time out. We're going to come back. We'll be joined by Franz Beard from Gator Bait Media. Get his thoughts on the upcoming season. Gators crank up in about 7 days, quite honestly, I believe. And we'll discuss that with him. We'll take a quick time out. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Mathews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers.
setbacks, injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Coach, you know what always impressed me? How you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios, Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Back to the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of our good friends at Comfort Temp. We're joined by Franz Beard from Gator Media. Good morning, Franz. How you doing, my man?
Good morning. It's lovely in the neighborhood.
Franz, I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, there's, the big conversation that I think I've had the most on this program this week was with DJ not being one of the top 3 quarterbacks on the first, second, and third team, all SEC teams. Did that surprise you at all?
It didn't surprise me that they didn't vote him. Now I think he's the best quarterback in the league, personally, and I think the guy that's going to be the number 2 quarterback that's going to be battling him for the number 1 didn't make the top 3 either, and that's John Mateer at Oklahoma. I think by far those are the 2 best quarterbacks in this league. I'm not Garrett Nussmeier. I know everybody talks about him and his arm, but the best line in the country, allowed sacked 6 times by the Gators last year, and they're replacing 4 starters, mostly with freshmen and sophomores. They're not going to be that good. It's going to affect him. Lenora Sellers, not sold on him. I think he's a guy that is big and strong, but he is not a consistent passer. I'm just shocked that the media went the way it did. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked that people don't recognize that these 3 guys they picked ahead of DJ, that they picked ahead of John Mateer, aren't as good as they're being hyped to be. I mean, Arch Manning, he may end up being all-world, Shane, but what has he proven against lousy Monroe and a couple of other teams that aren't very good?
Franz, Gators crank up, I think, in like 7 days. What concerns you the most about this team?
depth on the defensive line. They've got the big body, Shane, but you get past the first unit, and there are a lot of unproven guys. And it's just kind of like I said with LSU football, with their first unit, the offensive line. If you don't have depth, you're in, this is the SEC. People get, particularly in the trenches, get banged up, and you better have your rotation in there, because if you're playing your guys more than, say, 30, 32 snaps a game, they're going to get worn down. So the depth on that D line concerns me. I think we've got plenty of depth at linebacker. I think Miles Graham is a stud looking for a place to happen. I think he's going to have a great year this year. The secondary, I'm not worried about that either. I think the secondary is going to be very good. But I am concerned about that depth on the defensive line. That's the one area that I think is weak. Last year, you got to remember, they gave up 140 yards a game rushing, which is not great. It got better progressively, but they had some games when they didn't do so well. Stopping the run, and they're going to have to be able to stop the run to be the 9 or 10 win team. I think that they're going to be.
Andy's question for you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Franz, do you think the Gators will have its first 1,000-yard receiver since 2002, and who might it be?
I think the potential is there with Sturdivant, Wilson, or either one of the Wilsons, Dallas Wilson or Trey Wilson. The potential's there. But here's where I differ with the thought that we'll have a 1,000-yard receiver. I think we got so many receivers, you're going to see maybe 8 guys with somewhere between 400 and 750 yards. I think it's going to be the ball's just going to be spread around so much. I don't know that we'll have a 1,000-yard receiver. A 1,000-yard rusher, I think, is more probable.
I agree. It's going to be hard to be 1,000. And I don't know if we're going to throw it as much as people think either. So we'll see. This text on the Titan Tomorrow text line from Joseph, he wants to know, Franz, in your opinion, outside of the quarterback, what player has to play at a high level, like all conference level, to help the Gators have the season they want to have?
Caleb Banks. Caleb Banks has to play 12 regular season games with the same kind of intensity. You're not always going to have the production because of various things like being doubled and tripled and everything. But Caleb Banks will set the tone on the defensive line with his intensity. And if he comes and he brings it every ball game, the Gators are going to be very good.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Got Franz Beard here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. All right, Barone's question for you, kind of for all Gators, he says here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. What's your prediction for Florida's win total with Lagway for 12 games? And what is it without Lagway for 12 games?
With him, I think this is a team that wins 9 or 10. Without him, depending on how many games he's out, let's say he's out a couple, this is why they brought in Harrison Bailey, which I think gives them a shot. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to win these games, but he's going to give them a shot. We forget that he's a former 5-star recruit who Tennessee thought was going to be the answer up there in Dollywood. He is a good quarterback. I would say if DJ's out more than a couple ball games, Florida's chances of being any more than a 6-6 or 7-win team are diminished greatly.
What's your concern level about DJ's durability or health?
I'm not as concerned about it as a lot of people are. I think I've heard varying reports on it. I heard one early in the year that maybe, just maybe, he really could have participated in the spring, but they wanted to hold him out and be sure of it. And, I I think he could have thrown in the spring myself, but I don't know that he could have taken an entire spring. I think he's going to be fine. I think they cleaned up some things in his shoulder. I had rotator cuff surgery myself, and once I rehabbed it, my shoulder was fine. So I think that given the resources they have at the University of Florida, I don't see any real issue with him coming back. Now, could it be a hamstring or an ankle get rolled up or something like that? I think there's a greater chance of that than the shoulder being an issue.
Ted on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law, says, does Katie Daniels get more playing time?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's a really good running back in a very stacked running back room. And I think people forget this guy, Trayon Webb, and Jabbar Jalouk keeps telling people, don't count this guy out for having a great year. So I think we've got four really good running backs who have played in SEC, two of which are real studs. Webb, who could have been, and Katie Daniels, who has gotten his feet wet playing in some games. So I think Florida's running back room is as good as there is in the SEC, maybe the best in the SEC for all that matters.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Katie Daniels. When I saw him last fall, I was like, this dude can make people miss. And nobody really got to see him play until he took the botched snap against Tulane and just picked it up and just made everybody miss and ran for a touchdown. So I love the kid. I think he's dynamic.
He's from Louisville, Mississippi, or is it Moss Point?
West Point. West
Point, okay.
Yep. On the Titan MR text line, Rick from Jupiter says, hey, Shane, which part of the state would you consider Gator country versus Knoll country versus UM country? I'll let Franz touch on this, but I think the state of Florida has way more Gator fans throughout the entire state because it is the University of Florida and it's the flagship university. Geographically, I don't know the answer to that question. You got any comments on that, Franz?
Well, I think University of Miami, Palm Beach, Broward, Dade, that's about it. And I don't know that there's that many Miami fans in that area. They have a hard time selling games out, and they'll sell out the Florida game. When Florida State's comes to town, they sell that out, but they don't sell out many ball games. And of course, being in the almost competitive conference, you think Wake Forest is going to sell out for Miami fans when you can be at Hallandale Beach or on Key Biscayne for the weekend? I don't think so. FSU, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, even though I think there's more Gator fans in Jacksonville than FSU fans, there's a lot of FSU people in Jacksonville. I'd say the Panhandle, is probably a 50-50 split till you get to Pensacola, where I think you'll find in Pensacola there's probably as many Auburn and Alabama fans as there are Florida and FSU fans. FSU's big in Hillsborough County, big in Pinellas. But again, Shane, you pointed it out, there are more Florida fans than there are FSU fans. And it shows in the attendance. Florida sells out, even in bad years.
Yeah, it's not even close, in my opinion. Text here on the Titan MR text line from George. He says, he says, friends, who do you think is going to be playing for the SEC title in Atlanta this year?
Oh, I think that's a toss-up. Georgia, I think, has probably the easier path to get there of most teams because they have, according to Phil Steele, Georgia's schedule, I think, is 44th. It's really not a tough schedule. And you got to understand something. They get Texas at home. They get Alabama at home. I'm not saying they win those games necessarily, but you got a far better chance winning at home than you do on the road in the SEC. Florida, I think Florida this year is a breakout year with the Gators against Georgia. I'm not sold on Georgia at all, but I think they've got an easier path to get there. I think Texas will get there. So I think that's one team. I think Georgia's got an easier path. But if Florida goes into that game and Florida say 6-0 or 5-1 going into that ball game, and don't count the Gators out for being there.
Yeah, Franz, speaking of Georgia, I can't remember the last time, and maybe I'm wrong for thinking this, but we know they're going to be good. They have a really good roster. Maybe not. They don't have the star power, the names that we're used to, I believe, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're going to be more like old school Kirby at the beginning. When Kirby first got there, we're going to play really solid defense. We're going to try to run the football. Would you agree with that?
I think they've got to run the football. They only average 120 yards a game. Let me correct that. 124 yards a game last year running the football. And they had Carson Beck. This year they got Gunnar Stockton. They're going to have to run the football out of necessity, not only to kill the clock, but to hide the inadequacies of Gunnar Stockton. I know a lot of people are saying, well, he's Stetson Bennett 2.0. No, he's not.
No, it ain't even close.
You're right. He's not even close. So they're going to have to run the ball to hide the inadequacies. And here's where I got a question about that, Shane. They're starting 3 new offensive linemen. Last year, their running game with Trevor Etienne only produced 124 yards a game. Trevor's gone. They got Nate Fraziers, who they say, oh, the guy's all world. I didn't see that out of him last year. I saw a plugger, a guy that can, okay, he can turn a 4-yard gain into one that's a 6-yard gain, but I didn't see him as a guy that can really stretch the defense. And if you don't have guys running the ball who can stretch the defense, you got problems.
Yeah, for sure. I saw something a couple of weeks ago, and I want to get your thoughts on this, where you kind of rank Kirby Smart. He's going into his 10th year, I believe.
Yeah.
He hit the 100 game win mark faster than any coach in the history of college football, I believe. Where do you rank him?
Well, you have to rank him up there, either 1 or 2 nationally. Certainly in the SEC, he's the best coach in there, and the record shows it. But nationally, you can't hide the fact he won 2 straight national championships, and he's played for 2 other. He's been in the national championship game 2 other times. So if you've been in the national championship game 4 out of 9 years, there's not another coach that's done that. I think Ryan Day is a very underrated coach. But goodness, he has problems with Michigan. And people forget Ryan Day was a Florida grad assistant or Urban Meyer's first couple of years here. Really good football coach from a good pedigree. The rest of the SEC, it's going to be a proving year in the league. I know a lot of people point to Brian Kelly, but Shane, tell me something. When you've got an all-interplanetary quarterback like he had for 2 years, and you lose 7 ball games with Jaden Daniels, I question, are you that good of a coach? I don't know. Notre Dame, with all the resources he had at Notre Dame, he never won a national championship there, despite having one of the easiest paths to the national championship game. It doesn't have a conference to play in, or a conference championship game to play when he was at Notre Dame, and he never won one there. So I think it's easier to win one at LSU than it is at Notre Dame. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. And this year is an enormous year, in my opinion, for Brian Kelly. Huge, huge year. Michael says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, he picks the Gators in Texas in the SEC championship game. I'll take it right now.
I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, be a great one. Before we get you out of here, friends, I know you've been working on writing the book for the basketball national championship team. How's that going, and when you going to be done?
I met with my editor on Monday. I've got a couple small little details to clear up with that, and then it's a matter of just putting it together. It's going to be a really good book, Shane. I've got to tell people this. This book is a work of love for me, not only because I love Florida basketball, but I had a lot of personal stuff that happened earlier in the year, and basketball was my lifeline. Covering the Gators was my lifeline during that time. So it was a work of love. It depends on the editor getting it done and getting it to the publisher. But I would say late August, early September, it will be out, and I hope people will be willing to buy it. I like that basketball team last year. I think it captured the imagination and the hearts of a lot of people, particularly, talk about cardiac finishes. They had them. I look back at the NCAA tournament, 4 comeback wins against, 4 great teams. Nobody else had as tough a path to the national championship as the Gators, and they won. And what I will always remember is when Houston forced them to play Houston style, they beat Houston playing Houston style basketball. That said a lot for me.
Do you have a name, or are you allowed to say the name of the book, or do you want to wait on that?
The editor and Buddy Martin, who's helping me with this, are coming up with the right name for it. But I'm probably the worst guy in the world to ask for the name for it. They're the people that know how to get the right kind of name and get a name with a hook on it so that people will grab on. So
very cool.
I hope maybe if you have me on the next week or so, I'll be able to give you a name, but I don't have it right at the moment.
All right. Well, good stuff, Franz. We appreciate you taking the time to join the program. It was great as always. And we'll talk to you soon, my man.
Take care, Shane. Always a pleasure.
Yep. That's Franz Beard from Gatorade Media. Join us on the Titan MRI hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, thanks to Franz and JC. And we'll be here tomorrow, folks. Take care.